Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U. I want to talk about the defensive backs heading into spring practices because I think it's a big topic to talk about. I think there's a lot of guys, many of you are curious to see how they do, so let's get right into it. The biggest name to watch for in the spring is Georgia transfer Tyrique Stevenson, who was brought on to Miami to play cornerback. He did a little bit of everything at Georgia, but at Miami, he's looking to play cornerback, and I think that's going to be an interesting mix to see how he fits in the spring. Based on some of the things that I've been hearing about him, talking to different people that know him and that have been around him at UM, the biggest thing is he's doing well and he's enjoying being at Miami. The biggest thing is about being at Miami is he likes being close to home. He's really taken to the workouts that have been going on in the offseason with the mat drills and other workouts with David Feely and his strength and conditioning program. And I think that's a good sign that he's stepping right in and he's feeling at home, because that's certainly the atmosphere that Miami wants to create for Stevenson and the rest of the players. So far, so good for Stevenson as he fits in, and he knows a lot of the guys as well. So those are big things that he's doing so far. Also with Stevenson, and just kind of asking about how he's looking, and look, he's not able to do everything. It's not like this in spring ball where you're going to go through all of the drills and pads and all that. But for the workouts and what they've seen so far with the mat drills, they really like his athleticism and just how he's been able to move in mat drills and what he looks like with his agility. I think those are good signs, because those are the things that you're looking for at the cornerback position as he makes that transition to being a full-time corner. So those are great things to see, great things to hear about Stevenson. I remember watching him quite a bit in high school. He was one of those top tier guys down here, and every time you go into a game, you were curious to see what would Tyrique do in a game, and he certainly delivered. He even, at cornerback, he went up against top guys. I remember, him going against Frank Ladson at Clemson now, seeing that matchup. But also, sometimes they would flip him to wide receiver, and what would Tyrique do at receiver in the limited action that he would get, and he would always make big plays, and I think that was just a good sign of a good player. So I think Miami fans should be excited about Tyrique. He is one of the most intriguing players to me to watch for in spring practices. And once again, so far so good in terms of what I'm hearing from people that are around him, in the sense that he is enjoying himself at UM, which is exactly what he wanted to do when he made the transfer home. But also I'm hearing it, positive on the other side too. And certainly they are definitely excited to have him on the roster. That was something that was made very clear to me. Even though they have not gotten into spring practices, they are definitely excited about him. And then they certainly hope he can be a big asset to the team for the 2021 season. Another big name that I've noticed a lot of people are curious about with the secondary, in addition to Stevenson, is Avantae Williams. Avantae was the highest rated signee in the 2020 class, and he comes into Miami, wasn't able to play because of some medical issues. Although in the fall, right before the season ends, we saw Williams out there, and I was able to ask some of the coaches and players what they thought of him, but we saw Williams in some drills and some non-contact stuff, and Coach Manny Diaz, one thing he made clear was he just didn't get cleared for full physical contact, but they are hoping he's able to participate in spring practices, although what I'm hearing right now is he still needs to be cleared by the doctors for that. So as of right now, he's not been cleared for full contact from what I've been hearing, but that can certainly change at any point. But either way, even if he's not, maybe it's something where he can be eased in like he was in the fall with drills and things like that. So any type of work that Avantae can get would be big for him and his development as he looks to make an impact in his second season, his first full season playing in 2021, which is certainly the hope. I think one thing that stands out to me about Avantae, based on some of the things that you guys ask about, is will he play safety or is he a corner? I think people look at his height, weight, and they think, well, maybe he can play corner. And also there's a little bit more of a immediate need to play corner, especially with all of these teams, and particularly in the ACC that Miami's been going up against. A lot of them have multiple wide receiver sets where you need to have that extra corner on the field. Can Avantae be that guy? But I've said this a number of times, and that's something I've reached out to people about. And basically I've been told that, he is a safety, particularly because of his hard-hitting ability. He's just an aggressive player in that sense. So it might take some time if they want to give him a look at cornerback. But as of now, as of before, in the fall, the plan was always for Avantae to be a safety. But I do think it's something worth watching to see if that changes, if they give him some reps at corner, just to see if he can do it. And maybe it's a chance for him to get on the field a little bit sooner with Miami returning its top 3 safeties from a year ago in terms of playing time, and bringing in James Williams, 5-star prospect, who they think will start at safety as well. As far as some other guys to watch for in the spring, the name that came to me was DJ Ivey. And that might be a little bit of a surprise to you guys, because last year, although he made some progress from the year before, he did have his playing time cut into a little bit because of Tyrique Couch's emergence. And I will get to Tyrique in a little bit, but I am hearing DJ Ivey is doing well in the offseason. He's looking good in terms of the workouts, and maybe the most important thing is the people that I've talked to, they are noticing his confidence improving. I think those are important things, not only to look good, with his movements, but also his confidence improving. I think that's so important for a cornerback to have that increasing. So maybe watch for DJ Ivey in the spring. Maybe that's a name that surprises you a little bit just because you feel like you've seen him quite a bit at UM. But keep in mind, this will be his 4th season. He's continued to make strides each and every year. Maybe DJ takes that bigger stride next season. He's a guy with good length, and now he's got a lot of experience. And if you add in, more refining of his skills and an improved confidence, maybe you're going to get an even better DJ Ivey in 2021. So he is certainly someone that I'll be paying attention to in the spring as well. Basically because he's a guy that's been here for a while, but maybe he can still take that next jump. As far as Tyrique Couch goes, I think what we saw last season was a good stride. He made good strides last year. I'd like to see him, get his hands on the ball in terms of interceptions a little bit more, because I think that's still in his game. It's something I saw in high school. It's something I've talked about quite a bit with Tyrique. I think it's still to come with him. I think maybe this might be the year that you're going to see him get more interceptions. So for him, I'm going to be looking for him in the spring, maybe hear his name. If he's a guy that's starting to make plays on the ball as he, gains more confidence. Also, with his playing time increasing from last season, that second half of the year, he was certainly on the field quite a bit more. But with Tyrique, I know new cornerbacks coach DeMarcus Van Dyke really likes what he's seen in Tyrique. He really likes that he's feisty. He's an aggressive player, although he's not the biggest. He calls him a little pit bull. So he certainly likes what he's seen in Tyrique, but I want to see another jump in Tyrique's game in terms of making plays on the ball. And I think that it's in there, and that's a reason why I'm bringing it up, because I do believe it is still part of his game that I think can still be explored a little bit more than what we've seen so far. So definitely keep an eye on Tyrique Couch for the spring, if he will emerge. And also, it's a little bit different situation. Last year, Tyrique was just trying to, find a role. It looked like he was definitely going to be that number 3 cornerback, and certainly when the transfer of Christian Williams happened, he was certainly going to be that guy because he just didn't have the experience behind him. Now, DJ Ivey is back. Tyrique Stevenson is in the mix. They're hoping to get Al Blades Jr. back as well. And so now Tyrique is certainly in a battle, and certainly he has put in the play, he has that experience, and will he emerge as like a true guy to really handle the bulk of the cornerback repetitions? Will he be that full-time starter? We'll wait and see how he does in the spring. So definitely he is certainly someone to watch for. As far as some of the other guys, I know the coaching staff in the past has really talked highly about Marcus Clark and Isaiah Dunstan. Pretty much they really like all of their development from last season. They didn't play a lot on defense. They were out there on special teams, but the coaches did talk highly about them. I want to wait and see how they do. I haven't seen them enough. Certainly I've seen their film from high school. I've seen Dunstan in some workouts, but I want to see more of these guys in the spring. Are they really going to be capable corners, reliable guys that they can count on, or are they just going to be kind of more in that special teams mold and guys you're still waiting on developing? So I think the spring will be a good test for them. I know both of them would certainly like to impress and do well, because once again, there's guys in front of them right now. If they're going to have a chance to really breaking into that rotation the way Tyrique Couch did this past season, they're going to have a good spring, good off season right now that's going on, and then also after spring into the summer before fall camp starts. This is very important for young players to develop and do well, because by the time August rolls around, the coaches they don't have enough time to be developing guys and getting them into games. They kind of want to know who their guys are, and as of now, they're just guys in front of them. So pay attention to Marcus and also Isaiah to see if they're going to make any inroads in terms of playing time during spring ball. I think those are going to be guys to watch. I touched on the safeties a little bit, Bubba Bolden coming back really is an important thing because I think we saw Bubba play at a very high level for some games last year. Early on, he was very good. The open field tackles was something that stood out to me as something that he was doing well early. And in the second half of the season, took a little bit of a step back, wasn't as effective doing that. He's a guy like Corey Couch that I mentioned, I believe has more interceptions in him. And I think it's going to happen this year. It definitely needs to happen. I think he's a guy that does have good ball skills. I think you're going to see in terms of a developing player. And that was one of the, when he touched on a developing player, that was one of the things that Bubba mentioned in announcing his return to come back to Miami. He does not feel like he's a complete player. Certainly he did a lot of things well last year. But if I were to guess, just thinking about some of the things where he could be a little bit more well-rounded, I think that's the thing that he could do a little bit better at. Making better plays on the ball, not being as late, sometimes late, but also just making that read and making that, if he knows the plays and it feels like from the other teams, he can go ahead and gamble a little bit or take that risk. And maybe that's sometimes where interceptions come from. It's not just about having good hands, because I do think Bubba does have good hands. We've seen that in something that he's done in the past. But I think just that extra little, just that anticipation really improving just a little bit more. I think that you'll see him make better plays on the ball. And that's something that also to watch for in the spring. I also think Bubba is certainly in a position to be one of the leaders on the team. Last year, he had played in 7 games the year before. He was looking to be a starter. And I think he definitely, became one of those guys that other guys looked at. I just think with the dynamic of the defense, I think Bubba Bolden is going to be one of those leaders, needs to be one of those leaders for them to have a successful defense, him to step up with his play. Led the team in tackles last year, was certainly a good sign. But even taking another step with his leadership, his vocal leadership, because I think he's a guy that has great perspective on what's going on with the team and also can motivate guys, and also known for being a hard worker, and he produces on the field. I think those are all great qualities. And I think he can certainly shine starting once again in the spring. Other guys to watch for, I'm very curious to see how things are going with Gervin Hall, his progress after last season, dealing with some injury stuff, and just seeing if he's going to be out there in the spring, and also how he'll do. And also Amari Carter comes back. We'll see how he does as well. But certainly a lot to look for in the spring with the defensive backs, with the cornerbacks in particular, with Tyrique Stevenson. Should be a great spring. Definitely appreciate everybody for watching. If you want more content on this channel, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss anything. But also check out InsideTheU.com. There's always plenty of deals for subscriptions, for VIP out for subscriptions, so you can provide, get even more insight into the team in spring ball, getting ready to start up. Also some analytics stuff on how certain players are doing, how they did last season, and maybe what to look forward to in the future. So definitely appreciate everybody for watching. Thanks again, and take care.